Hello everyone. In this video, we will talk about a convenient and indispensable tool called autofill. It will save your time and effort by automatically filling in some data for you. If this video seems too fast or slow to you, then you can easily choose the playback speed that suits you. And if you want to watch videos without sound, then just turn on subtitles. I wish you a pleasant viewing. Well, let's get started. I select cell C3 and hover the cursor to the bottom right corner until a black crosshair appears. In this position, I click and hold the left mouse button and drag the handle down, releasing it at the end of the table. This is one way to use autofill, where the data is automatically copied. After completing this operation, an autofill options button appears on the screen. I click on it and choose the fill command. The data automatically changes to a numerical sequence. This is how quickly you can number a whole column. If I perform the same operation but select two cells at once, Excel will automatically recognize the provided sequence and perform the fill without simple copying. However, in this case, you can still change the fill to copy using the autofill options. Next, we move to the next column. Excel handles filling in the days of the week perfectly. Instead of dragging, I can simply double-click on the bottom right corner of the cell. But let me clarify that this autofill method only works within a range. Let me demonstrate it to make it clearer. I click on one of the filled cells in the table and hold Ctrl+A. The entire table is selected. And now I delete these values and hold Ctrl+A again. Did you understand what happened? We recently discussed this topic, but it would be nice to refresh your memory. So, this time a range was selected not for the whole table, but only for the part of it that is associated with filled cells. And if I double-click on the bottom right corner now, only that part of the table that falls within the common range will be filled. And now, if I expand the range, the cell filling will move further by double-clicking on the bottom right corner. Pay attention that abbreviated names of the days of the week are also filled in. A quick preview: in Smart Tables, which you will learn about in future lessons, there are different rules regarding the range and other aspects. Smart Tables have a number of advantages thanks to the automation of various processes. We will definitely explore them later. But for now, let's go back to autofill within a regular range of cells because it is not guaranteed that you will always be provided with data in the form of a smart table, and you should know the specifics of working in both options. So, let's continue. As I mentioned earlier in this lesson, the program can automatically recognize specified sequences. Let's say I want to fill a column with odd numbers. In this case, I enter the data in two cells that will serve as a sample. I highlight them and perform autofill. Done. You can specify different sequences, and Excel will successfully process them thanks to its built-in algorithms. Of course, the example from the last column is unlikely to be applied in your work, but my task is to show you this example as well so that you can better understand the principle of the tool we are discussing. And also, please note that the format also participates in autofill. For example, if I change the cell color now, it will be automatically copied to other cells when filled. And here's another thing. Autofill is not limited to individual columns. You can confidently fill in an entire range. Alright, let's move on to the next table. Autofill in Excel can be done not only vertically, but also horizontally. The direction doesn't matter. I can perform the fill to the right or to the left. Now let's talk about formulas. Here's a table where we need to calculate the order total for each product. The operation is simple and doesn't require any special skills. You just need to enter a formula where the price will be multiplied by the quantity. However, manually entering this formula each time is not a good idea. If the same operation is required in the cells below, why not use autofill? That's it, the formula has been copied. Imagine how much time you can save when filling in tables. Next, imagine that you need to fill in a large list of cells, maybe 100 or even 1,000 cells long. Obviously, dragging the handle conventionally will take a lot of time, and it will be difficult to guess the exact stopping point. So, what should you do? The tool called Fill Series comes to the rescue. You can find it on the ribbon in the Home tab. The exact location is in the Editing section. Here, you need to click on the Fill icon and select this tool from the drop-down menu. In the presented window, you can specify the desired parameters. We are offered to choose the arrangement, meaning we need to inform the program where we want to perform autofill, by rows or by columns. Next, we need to select the type of progression. In this example, let it be linear, while for others, you can experiment yourself. And in the lower part of the window, you can set the progression step. For example, if I set the number as 2, it will only fill in odd numbers, and so on. But for a regular list, I'll leave it as 1. In the maximum value field, you specify the number that will be the last in the list. So if I enter 250 here, in my case, autofill will start from 1 and end at 250. But for this example, I will enter the number 20 and click OK. In this way, you can fill in a large number of cells without the need for manual dragging. So, we've covered that. But what about Roman numerals? Unfortunately, Excel doesn't recognize such a sequence and suggests simple copying. But there is good news, we can give it a hint. Let me demonstrate. I go to the File tab, Options, Advanced. I scroll down and click on the Edit Custom Lists button. Here, there are examples that Excel uses for sorting and autofilling data. The key is that you can add your own custom lists here. Since I occasionally work in the Russian version of Excel, I have lists where months and days of the week are written in Russian. I added them myself. If you want to create your own list, click on New List and list its elements in the empty field on the right, in the order you desire. You can enter them separated by commas or in a column. After filling in, click Add. You can also copy data for the list directly from the sheet. Click here and select the range with the data. In my case, it's Roman numerals. I press Enter and then click on Import. Both lists are now ready. Click OK to close this window. That's it. Now Excel knows how to fill in the seasons and Roman numerals from 1 to 10. Next, starting from the 2013 version, Excel added an amazing type of autofill that, in some cases, replaces long formulas. Now I'll show you how Instant Fill works. In column C, there is a certain list, and we can extract individual elements from it. All you need to do is create a sample, and Excel, based on that, will perform automatic filling. Let's say I want to extract surnames from it. In the adjacent column, I type the surname from cell C4. And then I hold the Ctrl+E shortcut keys. Done, Excel successfully filled in the data according to the provided sample. Depending on the version of the program or the complexity of the operation, sometimes you may need to use not just one cell but several as a sample for autofill. Let's consider the next example. How about filling in the full name of a person in abbreviated form? I create a sample. And I get the desired result. I can perform this operation in both the right and left columns as long as they are in the same common range. If you add an empty column between them, the program will not recognize your command and give an error. Now I fill in the left column. As you can see, the presence of additional text does not interfere with adding the date from the adjacent column. Alright, here's another example. In this table, compared to the previous one, the data is already separated into individual columns, but they can still be considered when creating a sample for instant fill. I enter data into cell K4. Great, even such a task can be accomplished without using special formulas. Now let's move on to the third table. The phone numbers are listed in column B, and now I will format them correctly. I start creating a sample. I press Ctrl+E. Done. Of course, there can be many more variations of such autofill examples, so I recommend you to experiment on your own. If you liked the lesson, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to not miss new videos. And through the link in the description and the pinned comment, you can provide financial support to the channel because all the lessons are absolutely free. I wish you success in your learning. Goodbye.